Android Assault: The Revenge of Bari-Arm was released exclusively for the Sega CD in 1993 in Japan and in 1994 for America. This is pretty much a standard fare and your typical side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. It has a very large emphasis on robots and mecha designs, and the reasoning behind this is that the story basically says that eventually mankind colonizes within space, and one of the colonies on Saturn starts to attack the colony on Jupiter. So for mankind to combat this, they create a spaceship that can transform into the Bari-Arm, and that is the spaceship and robot that you play as within the game. When it comes to gameplay, it's scrolling from left to right constantly. It's at a slower pace, so it's not quite, as fast as some would hope. And there are different difficulty settings, easy, medium, and hard. You could also adjust how many continues and how many lives that you get. You can do this up to 5 times, but playing the game, you can of course stack more continues if you play well enough. There are 7 different levels, and all 7 of them are very varied in design, enemies, and as well as a giant boss at the end of each stage, which is one of the highlights. As with most shoot-'em-up games, you really look forward to getting to that end boss, and they do not disappoint in Android Assault. There are 4 different weapon types that you can collect throughout the levels. One of them is a homing missile, a spread shot, missiles that cover a wide area, and of course your concentrated laser fire. These power-ups are collected just like any other shooter, as they're floating throughout the level, and you can power them up by collecting power-up items, and they can be powered up to a maximum of 3 times. Now, the strategy comes in that you can also use powered-up shots, which you actually charge by not firing your gun. And there's a bar on the top of the screen that will fill up, and depending upon what level it is, 1, 2, or 3, your attack will either be, it'll have a wider spread and do more damage, or it'll last longer. So it's up to the player to decide when and if you should be charging your weapon or if you should just be using your normal spread shot. Now, you want to aim towards getting your ship to transform into the robot. There are 2 different ways you can do this. One is by reaching the maximum power-up level for a weapon, and the other is by collecting these not frequently appearing silver orbs that will appear in the levels that will automatically upgrade you into robot form. There are 2 upsides to this and 1 downside. The downside is that your ship size is obviously going to be much larger, and you're going to be more prone to getting hit by bullets since you're obviously not a small ship, you're a big robot now. And the upsides are that it acts as an extra life. Since this is a one-hit kill game, if you get hit by 1 bullet, you're dead. But if you're in robot form, you will get knocked down to ship form, so it's sort of like a piece of armor that'll protect you for 1 hit. The other upside, which is without a doubt the best part of it, is that your charge meter will charge a heck of a lot faster than if you were not in robot form, so it makes using your special attacks, especially on boss fights, a lot easier. And lastly, there's also 4 different speed settings, which you're going to need to adjust depending upon what level you're in, how many bullets are around, and whatever else you need to consider for what speed your ship needs to be moving at. Now, I just have to say that the music in this game is awesome. It has anything from hard rock to sort of a nice upbeat tune. It's got all different kinds of music, and it's really, really excellent, and without a doubt one of the standout points of this game. It's sort of a staple that CD-based shoot-'em-ups typically have some really good music, but I was really impressed by this one. The graphics in Android Assault are quite good as well, as the backgrounds are nice and detailed with multiple layers of scrolling backgrounds, and the character sprites are nice and detailed as well as the enemies and of course the large bosses. So with all that being said, this is still your typical side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. There really isn't too much that sets it apart. Fans of bullet hell shooters and just shoot-'em-up veterans in general are really not going to find too much challenge here, but for myself I found it to be just the right difficulty setting where I was able to see it all the way to the game's end. I did have to restart every once in a while, but I felt that the challenge was just right for me, and I had a lot of fun playing it, and I would recommend this to anybody that owns a Sega CD and is looking for a quick, fun game that you can just sit down with on an afternoon and enjoy yourself for a bit. Anyway guys, thanks for watching.